Hello everyone, Joel here. Continuing our momentum in the beginning of 2026, it's time for us to showcase another new game to play in recent releases. This time we will continue our adventure to the tactical RPGs territory. And to make sure you're not missing any, I've also added a few games from late 2025 that are worth your attention. And since we're talking about new games, the number in this list will not represent the ranking of the game. Before we continue the video, I want to inform you that right now, there are tons of crazy deals in instant gaming, especially if you love RPG games. Remember how expensive modern gaming lately? Well, not anymore, since you can get so many amazing titles with crazy discounts in instant gaming. Can you believe that just with $10 or even less than $5, you can enjoy one of the best gaming experiences in your life? Just look at these titles. It used to cost like $30 or even more than $40. And to make things even crazier, some games even drop so far to just $1. If you're a smart guy, you know what you have to do. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. I went into next run expecting a messy genre mix, but after several runs it proved surprisingly focused. Its fantasy world frames constant pressure from invading forces, giving every decision weight. Choosing a class meaningfully reshapes how you expand territory, manage resources, and approach fights. Tactical combat is deliberate, while non-combat options like trading, crafting, and bribery stay equally viable. Progression feels run-driven, pushing adaptation instead of rigid builds. Procedural maps and multiple modes keep tension high even after failure. Some systems need clearer onboarding, but the freedom to solve problems your way makes next run a standout tactical roguelike. I didn't expect Live Hard Die Hard to hook me this fast, but its 4-week structure creates constant pressure that feels purposeful. Managing the base, treating wounded soldiers, and preparing expeditions feeds directly into frantic real-time battles where timing retreats and skills matters more than raw numbers. The medical layer adds weight to every loss, forcing hard calls between recovery and pushing forward. Progression shines through side effects harvested from enemies, reshaping squads in unpredictable ways. Stress systems and squad traits deepen attachment, making each run tense, personal, and surprisingly strategic for such a compact RTS RPG from start to end. I spent my first hours with Journey to the Void constantly adjusting plans because its grid-based movement and card combat demand attention every turn. Each biome changes how decks evolve, pushing smart use of region cards and positioning against enemies attacking from all sides. Moral choices land hard, altering zones and future runs in ways that feel permanent. Progression through heroes, traits, and essence upgrades keeps runs distinct without overwhelming complexity. The result is a tactical roguelite that values decision-making, replayability, and steady mastery from start to finish across repeated challenging sessions overall. Swordhaven pulled me in through its grounded fantasy tone and familiar CRPG structure. The world of Nova Draconia feels politically tense, shaped by culture clashes, faith, and control over iron resources. Character backgrounds matter early, influencing companions and dialogue in ways that reward role-playing. Combat flexibility between turn-based and real-time adds welcome control, while progression pushes early specialization and thoughtful builds. Riding is uneven but often reactive, with quests offering real choice. Content gaps are noticeable, yet the core experience delivers a strong, choice-driven RPG worth committing to. Deep Fringe immediately stood out to me through its harsh biopunk setting and uncompromising tactical design. Combat revolves around grid-based battles where terrain can be altered, destroyed, or reshaped, making positioning and preparation essential every encounter. Enemy variety forces constant adaptation, while squad customization rewards careful planning and synergy between abilities. Progression is steady and meaningful, pushing experimentation without locking players into fixed roles. The world feels deliberate, with exploration and faction choices reinforcing its bleak tone. Difficulty is high but fair. Deep Fringe succeeds by trusting players to learn, adapt, and master its systems. I spent my first runs with ANIWARS learning how tightly its systems lock together. Turn-based battles reward positioning, objective control, and smart item timing rather than raw damage. Each faction changes the flow of combat, pushing different squad builds and territory priorities across the map. Progression is driven by loot synergies, commander abilities, and hard choices about when to push forward. The world's ongoing war gives context to every encounter, while rival commanders feel personal as both bosses and characters. Even in early access, replayability and clarity make ANIWARS an easy recommendation for strategy roguelike fans. I stepped into Plague Hunters expecting a light roguelite, but it quickly revealed a heavier tactical rhythm. Each run balances turn-based combat with party management, forcing careful use of perks, shrines, and positioning against grotesque enemies. Recruiting survivors fits into farm progression, which meaningfully unlocks new combat options over time. Progression feels run-focused yet persistent, encouraging steady experimentation. The dark fairy tale art gives the world identity without overwhelming clarity. Endgame modes raise stakes through permadeath and strict requirements. As a free-to-play experience, Plague Hunters delivers surprising depth, structure, and long-term motivation for players seeking replayable strategy and meaningful progression systems. Bloodgrounds is a tactical RPG that blends structured arena combat with deliberate management systems. Its story follows a freed gladiator who builds a stable of fighters while pursuing revenge, giving the campaign clear motivation without overwhelming the player. Battles emphasize positioning, initiative order, and terrain interaction, with traps, audience effects, and distinct class roles shaping every encounter. Outside the arena, town management adds meaningful progression through recruitment, recovery, and building upgrades. These systems reinforce each other well, creating a steady loop of preparation, execution, and growth that makes Bloodgrounds feel complete. I didn't expect Conquest Tactics to focus this heavily on narrative choice, but it quickly became the reason I kept playing. Each run frames battles around territory control and timing, forcing decisions between defense, expansion, and direct assaults on the enemy core. Combat is easy to grasp but hard to master, especially as unit positioning and recall choices compound mistakes. What surprised me the most was how strongly the story reacts, letting you push the world towards salvation or ruin. Progression ties mechanical success to moral direction, making victories feel personal. Conquest Tactics stands out by letting strategy and story drive each other naturally. My first few runs in Blightstone ended quickly, not because the game overwhelmed me, but I misunderstood how every small decision mattered. Positioning a hero one tile too far, wasting a skill too early, or misreading the environment often spiraled into a lost fight. As I spent more time with it, the game revealed a thoughtful tactical core built around free movement, terrain interaction, and layered status effects. The world slowly unfolds through repeated attempts, while progression systems reward learning instead of grinding. With flexible builds, meaningful roguelite upgrades, and steady strategic tension, Blightstone earns its challenge and keeps pulling you back. Prophecy of Ashen doesn't rush to make you a hero. It makes you a courier first, carrying a single letter through a kingdom already tearing itself apart. That restraint gives its dark fantasy CRPG structure real weight. Turn-based combat emphasizes positioning, terrain, and deliberate spell use rather than flashy excess, rewarding careful planning over brute force. Party members bring strong personalities and conflicting beliefs, turning recruitment into a narrative decision as much as a tactical one. Moral choices aren't cosmetic. Siding with order or chaos reshapes quests, alliances, and outcomes. It's a slow-burn tactical RPG that trusts players to think, choose, and live with consequences.
That sound?
Demeo X Dungeons & Dragons feels like the version of Demeo that finally understands its own potential. Playing through the campaign, the added structure immediately gives each session purpose beyond simply clearing rooms. Missions, side objectives, and light narrative framing keep momentum strong without slowing the game down. Combat remains card-driven and tactical, but faster card acquisition encourages frequent ability use, making every turn more engaging. Character progression is simple yet meaningful, allowing builds to grow across campaigns. It does not fully replicate tabletop D&D, but it delivers a smarter, smoother, and more satisfying cooperative dungeon crawl overall.
Strike hard!
Ouch! Evil hurts!
After spending time with Veterum, what stood out first wasn't its difficulty, but how comfortable it felt to settle into its gameplay design. You roam a dying fantasy world as a growing mercenary force, taking contracts, managing resources, and choosing fights that can easily go wrong if you rush them. Combat is turn-based on a hex grid, with morale, terrain, weather, and positioning all shaping outcomes in ways that feel consistently fair. Progression comes from keeping your squad alive, improving gear, and learning how systems interact. Even without a full narrative yet, Veterum delivers a strong tactical loop that's already satisfying to play. Avernum 4 is akin to reading a good fantasy novel. It's deeply engrossing at times, requiring a fair bit of imagination to bring the world to life, and likely not the most modern method of accessing such content. I spent hours wandering caverns, uncovering faction conflicts, and deciding where my party's loyalties truly lay. The turn-based combat is familiar but dependable, with character builds growing more interesting the deeper you go. Writing carries most of the weight, and it succeeds by making the world feel lived in and politically tense. It isn't modern or flashy, but its freedom, depth, and consistency make it deeply absorbing. I'd be lying if I said that I'm not disappointed with this remake, but does it straight up a garbage? Not necessarily. Playing it again, the dual story structure still stands out, giving real weight to an early decision that reshapes the campaign, characters, and tone. The world feels dense with political tension, helped by the network system that quietly deepens the setting. Combat remains deliberate, although not as satisfying as the OG version, especially with the weird balancing on the debuff status. Moreover, the visual design felt really off in this remake, with repetitive animations and uncreative mech design. That being said, the added quality of life options and faster pacing make this version still enjoyable to play. If you're an OG fans, you have every right to be mad with this remake, but for the newcomers, I'd say it's still an enjoyable tactical experience. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other new tactical RPGs that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your best new tactical RPGs that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!